and coming out of that, breaking the seat in the airplane, which was
Oh yes.
really pleased
Yes.
ground.
Well, I obviously pulled out much too hard, and the seat broke and went down, and there were two rods, the two main control rods, one on each side of the aircraft, run down to the stern of the aircraft. One works the elevators and the other works the rudder, and the seat sort of landed pretty well on those, which meant that the elevators seemed to be all right, but the rudder wasn't very good. But at any rate, it didn't really. Again, it's the aeroplane is such a marvelous aeroplane to fly and so easy to fly that I didn't have any difficulty landing, except I couldn't see very much because the seat has a rise and fall lever, so that often when you're landing you can put the seat right up and your head is, as the wind is not terribly, not much more than 100 miles an hour up there, you can look out better, and as soon as you sort of going to fly the aeroplane, you put it down and you see the aeroplane's level and you can see it out the front. So luckily it had a lucky conclusion, so I got down all right, but I got into a bit of trouble with the flight sergeant who looked after my aeroplane, because the wings were a bit rippled at the top. It sounds funny, but you could run your hand across them and you feel slight indentation, so they changed the wings. I don't think they thought it was a good thing to do generally. But I was very lucky, really. But I don't know. And of course, it's one of these things, we don't know whether it was a successful operation or not. We were never told. But everybody had a good go at it, and it went. The thing went off all right anyway.
And what was, given the fact that the RAF had the Typhoon as a ground attack aircraft, how would you rate the Spitfire as say, because obviously it's with the aerodynamics and the fact that it was quite acrobatic, it was obviously designed primarily as a dogfighter, and as a ground attack aircraft, what would you say was its characteristics? Was it a good ground attack aircraft, or was it?
Well, I only flew a Typhoon sort of as a pleasure flight. I flew it a couple of times, did a few circuits and landings, that sort of thing, flew it a bit, but I never used it on ops, ever. That was used by the Tactical Air Force, and of course that carried rockets. It was, frankly, it was a totally different aeroplane. It was like a tank. You had more room in the cockpit, it was very powerful, it flew like a brick. If when you come into land, if you just shut the throttle, it had a very high wing loading. And obviously Typhoon pilots used to enjoy it because they were used to it, and they probably would think Spitfires were a little bit airy-fairy, but I must say, you could point a Spitfire at a target and have a go at it. It was a good aeroplane for everything, as far as I could see. I mean, obviously I had never done a ground attack in a Typhoon, so I really, I couldn't compare the two. They did their own job very well. I mean, Typhoons carried big rockets as well. Well, we didn't. We had 4 machine guns and 2 cannon. But I think we could manoeuvre our airplanes. I mean, right on the deck, it was a beautiful airplane flight. I mean, a lot of our work was so low that you can't believe it. I mean, when we left Coleshill here, we nearly always went on the deck to keep under the radar. The idea is surprise. And we never went up much over 100 feet over the tops of the trees and followed the ground. And then when we're on the sea, just above the sea, just above the waves, keep down. And it was a good aeroplane flight. You had to concentrate, of course, but it went where you put it, as far as I can remember. I mean, we're talking 60 years ago. I'm perfectly certain if it wasn't, I would have remembered it, put it that way. Yeah, but no, I loved the aeroplane. I'm very, 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 very lucky to have the privilege to fly one. I really was. And there it is. That's not innate modesty or anything like that. I think we were a lucky band of villains.
Okay, I think I've taken up a lot of your time.